Hey everyone, I got this chapter 4 going, starting with identifying and expressing feelings, and I hope everybody's ready and everyone had a really good start to their day. The first component of NVC is to observe without evaluating. The second component is to express how we are feeling. Psychoanalyst Rollo may suggest that the mature person becomes able to differentiate feelings into as many nuances, strong and compassionate expressions, or delicate and sensitive ones, as in the different passages of music in a symphony. For many of us, however, our feelings are, as May would describe it, limited like notes in a bugle call. The heavy cost of unexpressed feelings. Our repertoire of words for calling people names is often larger than our vocabulary of words that allow us to clearly describe our emotional status. I went through 21 years of American schools and can't recall anyone in all that time ever asking me how I felt. Feelings were simply not considered important. What was valued was the right way to think, as defined by those who held positions of rank and authority. We are trained to be other-directed rather than to be in contact with ourselves. We learn to be up in our head, wondering what is it that others think is right for me to say and do. An interpretation I had with a teacher when I was about 9 years old demonstrated how alienation from our feelings can begin. Once I hid myself after school in a classroom because some boys were waiting outside to beat me up. A teacher stopped me and asked me to leave the school. When I explained I was afraid to go, she declared big boys don't get frightened. A few years later, I received further reinforcement through my participants in athletics. It was typical for coaches to value athletes willing to give their all and continue playing no matter how much physical pain they were in. I learned the lesson so well I once continued playing baseball for a month with my untreated broken wrist. At an NVC workshop, a college student spoke about a roommate who played the stereo so loudly it kept him awake. When asked to express what he felt when this happened, the student replied, "I feel that isn't right to play music so loud at night. I pointed out that when he followed the words feel with a word that, he was expressing an opinion but not revealing his feelings. Asked to try again to express his feelings, he responded, I feel when people do something like that, it's a personality disturbance. I expressed that this was still an opinion rather than a feeling. He paused thoughtfully and then announced with vehemence, I have no feelings about this whatsoever. This student obviously has strong feelings. Unfortunately, he didn't know how to become aware of his feelings, let alone express them. This difficulty in identifying and expressing feelings is common, and in my experience, especially so among lawyers, engineers, police officers, corporate managers, and career military personnel, people whose professional codes discourage them from manifesting emotions. For families, the toll is severe when members are unable to communicate emotions. Country and Western singer Reba McEntire wrote a song after her father's death entitled it "The Greatest Man I Never Knew." In so doing, she undoubtedly expressed the sentiments of many people who were never able to establish the emotional connections they would have liked with their fathers. I regularly hear statements like, I would want you to get the wrong idea. I'm married to a wonderful man, but I never know what he is feeling. One such dissatisfied woman brought her spouse to a workshop, during which she told him, "I feel like I'm married to a wall." The husband then did an excellent imitation of a wall. He sat mute and immobile. Exasperated, she turned to me and explained, "See, this is what happens all the time." He sits and says nothing. It's just like living with a wall. It sounds to me like you are feeling lonely and wanting more emotional contact with your husband, I responded. When she agreed, I tried to show how statements such as "I feel like I'm living with a wall" are unlikely to bring her feelings and desires to her husband's attention. In fact, they are more likely to bring heard as criticism than an invitation to connect with our feelings. Furthermore, such statements often lead to self-fulfilling prophecies. A husband, for example, hears himself criticized for behaving like a wall. He is hurt and discouraged and doesn't respond, thereby confirming his wife's image of him as a wall. The benefit of strengthening our feelings vocabulary are evident not only in an intimate relationship but also in the professional world. I was once hired to consult with the members of a technological department of a large Swiss corporation, troubled by the discovery that workers in other departments were avoiding them. When they asked why, employees from other departments responded, "We hate going there to consult with those people. It's like talking to a bunch of machines." The problem dated when I spent time with the members of the technological department, encouraging them to express more of their humanness in their communication with coworkers. In another instance, I was working with the administrator of a hospital who were anxious about a forthcoming meeting with a hospital's site physician. They wanted support for a project that the physicians had only recently turned down by a vote of 17-1. The administrators were eager to have me demonstrate how they might use NVC when approaching the physicians. Assuming the voice of an administrator in a role-playing session, I opened with, "I'm feeling frightened to be bringing up this issue." I chose to start this way because I sensed how frightened the administrators were as they prepared to confront the physicians on this topic again. Before I could continue, one of the administrators stopped me to protest. "You're being unrealistic. We could never tell the physicians that we were frightened." When I asked why an admission of fear seemed so impossible, he replied without hesitation, "If we admitted we're frightened, then they would just pick us to pieces." His answer didn't surprise me. I have often heard people say how they cannot imagine ever expressing feelings at their workplace. I was pleased to learn, however, that one of the administrators did decide to risk expressing vulnerability at the dreaded meeting. Instead of his customary manner of appearing strictly logical, rational, and emotional, he chose to state his feelings together with reasons for wanting the physicians to change their position. He noted how differently the physicians responded to him. In the end, he was amazed and relieved when, instead of being picked to pieces by the physicians, they reversed their previous positions, voting 17-1 to support the project instead. This dramatic turnaround helped the administrators realize and appreciate the potential impact of expressing one's vulnerability, even in the workplace. Finally, let me share a personal indication that taught me the effects of hiding our feelings. I was teaching a course in NVC to a group of inner city students. When I walked into the room the first day, the students who had been enjoying a lively conversation with each other became quiet. Good morning, I greeted. Silent. I felt very uncomfortable, but was afraid to express it. Instead, I proceeded in my most professional manner. For this class, we will be studying a process of communication that I hope you will find hopeful in your relationships at home and with your friends. I continued to present information about MC, but no one seemed to be listening. One girl, rummaging through her bag, fished out a file and began vigorously filing her nails. Students near the window glued their faces to the pane as if fascinated by what was going on in the streets below. I felt increasingly more uncomfortable, yet continued to say nothing. Finally, a student who had certainly more courage than I was demonstrating piped up. Who had certainly more courage than I was demonstrating. Piped up, "You just hate being with black people, don't you?" I was stunned, yet immediately realized how I had contributed to the students' perception by trying to hide my discomfort. "I'm feeling nervous," I admitted, "but not because you are black. My feelings have to do with my not knowing anyone here and wanting to be accepted. When I came in this room, this expression of my vulnerability had a pronounced effect on the students. They started asking questions about me and telling me things about themselves and to express curiosity about NVC. Feeling nervous, not feeling. A common confusion generated by English language is our use of word feeling without actually expressing a feeling. For example, in the sentence, "I feel I don't get a fair deal," the words "I feel" could be more accurately replaced with "I think." In general, feelings are not being clearly expressed when the word "feel" is followed by a word such as that, like as if. "I feel that you should know better." "I feel like a failure." "I feel as if I'm living with a wall." Discourage feelings from thoughts. The pronounced I, you, he, she, they, it. "I feel I am constantly on call." "I feel it is useless." Conversely, in the English language, it is not necessary at all to use the word feel when we are actually expressing a feeling. We can say "I'm feeling irritated" or simply "I'm irritated." In NVC, we distinguish between words that express actual feelings and those that describe what we think we are. A description of what we think we are. "I feel inadequate as a guitar player." In this state, I am assessing my ability as a guitar player, rather than clearly expressing my feelings. Expression of actual feelings. "I feel disappointed in myself as a guitar player." "I feel important with myself." "I feel impatient with myself as a guitar player." "I feel frustrated with myself as a guitar player." The actual feeling behind my assessment of myself as inadequate could therefore be disappointment, impatience, frustration, or some other emotion. Likewise, it is helpful to differentiate between the words that describe what we think others are doing around us, and words that describe actual feelings The following are examples of statements that are easily mistaken as an expression of feeling. In fact, they reveal more how we think others are behaving than what we are actually feeling ourselves. This first one. I feel unimportant to the people with whom I work. The word unimportant describes how I think others are evaluating me. I feel unimportant to the people with whom I work. Rather than me actually feeling, which in this situation might be, I feel sad or feel discouraged. I feel misunderstood. Here the word misunderstood indicates my assessment of the other person's level of understanding rather than an actual feeling. In this situation, I may be feeling anxious or annoyed or some other emotion. I feel ignored. Again, this is more of an interpretation of the actual actions of others rather than a clear statement of how we are feeling. No doubt, there have been times we thought we were being ignored and our feelings was relief because we wanted to be left to ourselves. No doubt there was other times, however, when we felt hurt and we thought we were being ignored because we had wanted to be involved. Words like ignored express how we interpret others rather than how we feel. Here is a sample of such words. Abandonment, abused, attacked, betrayed, boxed in, bullied, cheated, coerced, co-opted, cornered, diminished, destructed, interpreted, intimidated, let down, manipulated, misunderstood, neglected, overworked, patronized, pressured, provoked, put down, rejected, taken for granted, threatened, unappreciated, unheard, unseen, unsupported, unwanted, used. Building a vocabulary for feelings. In expressing our feelings, it helps to use words that refer to specific emotions rather than words that are vague or general. For example, if we use I feel good about that, the word good could mean happy, excited, relieved, or a number of other emotions. Words such as good and bad prevent the listener from connecting easily with what we might actually be feeling. The following lists have been compiled to help you increase your power to articulate feelings and clearly describe a whole range of emotional states. Okie dokie. I will just make a picture of these words. If I was y'all, but these are how we are likely to feel when our needs are being met, and how we are likely to feel when our needs are not being met. And these are still not being met words right here. Summary. The second component necessary for expressing ourselves is feeling. By developing a vocabulary for our feelings that allow us to clearly and specifically name or identify our emotions, we can connect more easily with one another, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable by expressing our feelings. Can't help resolve conflict. Can help resolve conflict. NVC distinguishes the expression of actual feelings from words and statements that describe thoughts and assessments and interpretations. Thoughts, assessments, and I need to write that down. Artist exercise. If you would like to see whether we are in agreement about the verbal expression of feelings, circle the number in front of any of the following statements in which feelings are verbally expressed. I feel you don't love me. That's a thought. You said I, and then you switch it to you. I'm sad that you're leaving. That's a feeling. Feeling and action. I feel scared when you say that. When you don't greet me, I feel neglected. That's a feeling still. I'm happy that you can come. Yeah. You're disgusting. I feel like hitting you. I may feel misunderstood. Here are my responses for expressive 2. If you circle this number, we're not in agreement. I don't consider you don't love me is to be a feeling. To me, it expresses what the speaker thinks the other person is feeling rather than how the speaker is feeling. Whenever the words I feel are followed by the words I, you, he, she, they, it, that, like, or as if, what follows is generally not what I would consider to be a feelings. Examples of an expression of feelings might be I'm sad or I'm feeling anguished. If you circle this number, we're in agreement that a feeling was verbally expressed. And yeah. And we at the end of this. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. And yeah. I'll make that other video. Y'all can enjoy it and learn some stuff. And just have a very beautiful day.